How'd you guys link up?
Seattle comedy.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm a roller skater. He's a skateboarder.
Right.
We had a gang war at a park one time.
We won.
I'm having Total Warriors flashbacks. That
Yeah.
movie needs to be remade now. Like, were gangs really wearing like baseball uniforms and roller
Dude,
skates?
it's so
Were they,
funny
like-
to see gangs dressed like so flamboyantly. I love that movie. But the social media game, we were talking about this before, that's like the job of a comic now. I'm not like treading new ground here, but like comedians are now publicists for themselves. Like you're a media marketer and a publicist. That's like your career as a stand-up. And then you, instead of, it used to be like spending all day like, hitting up bookers and stuff like that and trying to like find work. And now it's more about, it feels like anyway, more about building a fan base, and then you can find your own venues and then sell tickets to your fan base. And it's less about who's going to book you and more about where are you going to book yourself to draw fans. That seems to be like the current model for comedians right now. So pros and cons of that, I think, for comedy as a whole is that there's no gatekeepers, which is like great because people who were getting stopped by gatekeepers are now able to break through and have an audience. Like people who've maybe deserved to have an audience for years and were being held back because they don't fit whatever mold or don't have the right relationships with the kind of people you need to make it in show business. Now they can break through. That's fucking awesome. But then you have a lot of people who gatekeepers were stopping for the right reasons,
Right.
who now can break through, who might just be like, one, just like maybe terrible like comedy, terrible people or whatever. But then they can like kind of find a fan base and sell tickets.
They might have like one viral hit, but they only got 5 minutes of material.
And then
right?
there's that
And
stuff
then
that
it's like,
happens
now they're getting booked,
regularly,
like,
too.
I got to fill a whole show.
And then you get people who aren't ready at all. Yeah, and then gatekeepers used to be able to recognize when someone was ready, right? Or at least that was their job. Whether they were good at it or not is debatable. But at least there was someone, a human being in charge. Now it's an algorithm that's in charge. Like, the algorithm doesn't give a fuck about whether you're ready or not. They're really just about, are people staying on our app longer because you're on screen, and it's fucking whether or not you're good at the job that you're doing is irrelevant, so.
I had a fortune cookie years ago that I saved that was, you must prepare at length for overnight success. And like, I've held that to like so much of, business, entertainment, all this stuff. It's like, you got to put in the work. The people I've seen successful, it's still a year or 2 years into having built up that much content that's like, oh wow, they're not just a one-hit wonder. They have a shit ton of material. They're constantly always something fresh.
So, and this is, you can watch it. There's plenty of examples, but there's people who have lucky breaks and they, they go on a big tour or something like that, and you never hear about it again.
Right.
People who have lucky breaks and then have continued success after that, that's the people who prepared for it, right? Because they were like, oh, I know what to do. When this happens, I'm going to do X and Y and Z so that I continue to have success and I can ride the momentum of the lucky break. How many people really do that? Like, it's kind of rare, actually. So you see, that's why like the people who are long lasting in this business are few and far between.
That's why I waited 20 years to start my first TikTok. All right, now I'm 20 years in.
Well, so comedians ask me this all the time about like, what should I be doing as a young comic to move the needle, right? To move it forward. Should I be putting all my shit online? And I think, so there's a double-edged sword here with that because I never did any of that stuff. Like I said, I was, again, 15 years of just kind of like, I was doing shows, I was producing shows, I was doing mics, I was on stage enough, definitely was not working on social media or online. I think somewhat to my detriment, because then when I did get my first lucky break and I was ready, I did not have any of those skills. So I had to learn all of that in real time as like kind of my first opportunities were happening. If I had already been doing that my entire comedy career, then when I did have that lucky break, it would have been like, I would have had a whole system already set up that I could model out, but you could get a lucky break way before you're ready. Right. So if you're like putting all your stuff online and doing all your social media, and then you do have a big break and you do get a big crowd, but you don't have anywhere near an hour's worth of material, like, do you start headlining? Like, how do you say no to that? Most comics just say yes to it, right? And then they start touring, and then I think to me, those are the comics who, after a year or two, that you don't really hear about them again because they don't really have an act, and it takes most comics to get a real headlining hour. Most comics 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Like really, like, and
For
that's
sure.
of going up
Solid.
almost every night.